Boy, look at all that water activity out here. They're pretty much mullets, I'm figuring, but gotta be some predators around. Gigantic jellyfish. My God, they're huge. Boy, you can hear that thing with the tail. The tail is making all that noise. Boy, I love the way that thing spins. Aloha YouTubers, this is Scuba Chris. I want to highlight these beautiful lures. They're called Whopper Ploppers. Something that came out in the continental US for freshwater use this past summer. I don't think anybody here in Hawaii is kind of cotton on to them yet, but they will. This is the larger size. This is the 130 size. Now you hear that rattling? That's not just only the hooks. You got the silent ones and you got the rattlers. See, I'm holding the hooks. Hear that? Still rattling because there's BBs in there. And the hooks rattle too. So when this goes to the water, the tail, because of the way it's fluked, will spin. So what happens, you're gonna see that little whitewash coming straight up, and you're gonna actually hear it from 50 feet away. I can hear that as well as the rattling. This is a deadly lure. So what I've learned the hard way is that never ever go with stock hooks. Always change the stock hooks. Okay. I haven't tried this one yet. This one has, I think, roughly about a 1 3/4 ounce weight to it. You can throw this with lighter line, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hammer bomb. This is a hammer bomb. It's called Unleaded because there's no lead inside. When it hits the water, it's going to sink very, very, very slow. So you can use this in shallow water, like in a couple of feet of water, and it's not going to go to the bottom and catch on to the bottom like the reef or anything like that, okay? This is great to use in conjunction with the Whopper Ploppers. Now this one here should be weighted enough where I can just throw that and should be no problem. Unless you're going to really whip it out there, then you need to add some weight to it. But I got this. This was a kind gift from the inventor, Bill Newton of Ever Beach Buy and Sell. He gave this one to me to try out. Using it with the smaller unit. This is the 130. This is the 90. Now the 90 here is just a smaller version, and the trebles. Look at it. The trebles. Just by looking at it, I thought they were okay. And when I went out to Waimea Bay, I hit what I believe to be about a 4 to 5 pound trevally because it came in close enough where I can see how large it was and the shape. So I knew it was a trevally, and everybody around me was catching them roughly around the same size. But look what happened. Bent out the two bottom hooks, and it got off right at the surf zone in front of me. See, it bent it out. Now, if a 5 pound fish can do that, then it's time to change the trebles. I got to listen to my own rules. I got to change the trebles out. So I'm going to show you how I go about this. See what happens, okay? All right, to properly change out the hooks here, let's go put this away. You're gonna need pliers. I usually bring more than one split ring plier, but the regular pliers I use is needle nose, all right? Also, I use braid scissors, because when I work on the leaders, I use the braid scissors. You gotta bring some good split rings. You have to use really, really good split rings. Now, this one here is the BKK ones. They're size number 6, rated for 80-pound pull test. That's pretty darn good for that size. Okay, I'm also gonna use single trailer hooks on this one. And for my treble for the belly, I'm using the BKK. This is the number 4. This is the smallest size BKK makes, all right? It's just, as you can see here, just a hair bit smaller than that, just a hair bit. I want to go a little bit smaller because in the continental U.S. they have fish like bass that have larger mouths. Here in Hawaii, we really don't have too much species of fish that has a larger diameter mouth, so I prefer to go one size smaller. Now, we're going to put the treble down in the middle. The back one here, see, this is what does a lot of damage. This is what the fish swallows. This is what is going to do a lot of damage if you want to release the fish, if it's not a desirable species or it's undersized. So I prefer to use single hooks, okay, for the back. Now this one is a mustad. Mustads are VMCs. They're pretty much top of the line for what we're going to do, okay? Kamagatsu, those 3 I would say are the best ones right now. Now, how do I figure this out? Okay, first you look at the hook. Now, normally you would kind of want to match it up, but because I know what's in our local waters here, I went with one size smaller since this is the smaller lure. Now, how do I match up my trailer hook? Okay, now on the single here, what I normally do, okay, if you see the inside diameter of the treble, I match this up, and look at that. This perfectly matches up the inside. So the radius of this bite is going to be the same radius of this. And there is a graph I'm going to print out on this video showing the recommendation. They actually recommend a number 1. This is a number 2. I find that the number 2 works better with the number 4 treble. The BKKs, try to be one of these. Not very easy to do, okay? So we're going to use this. We're going to use the BKK split rings to go with it. 80-pound pull test. It's pretty good in my book. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the trebles. And, oh, they're rusting up pretty bad. Because I used it twice. Use my split ring pliers. Might be better just cutting through this, but let's just see if we can just manually get it off. Okay, as you notice, I just started the ring of the treble. It's caught onto the split ring. So now we're just gonna, these smaller ones are usually harder to work with because they are smaller. I find that the big ones, believe it or not, are easier to work with. Okay, see, we got that one off. Don't like trebles because, man, they've taken more than an ounce of blood out of me throughout the years. This is actually kind of flimsy. It will work with a lot of the freshwater fish up in the States, but Here in Hawaii, I would not recommend it because Trevally already bent this out. Alrighty. This was the smaller one. A lot of rust is starting to set in. And like I said, it is harder to work with the small ones. Let's see now. There. As soon as you get a start, well, I had a start. Really, really hate working with the smaller sizes. I really do. I have a much better time working with the larger ones. The larger ones you would think would be a little bit harder. They're actually easier. Wow. This is really something. First one came off easy. There. Now I'm starting it. Now I'm starting it. There. Now I'm really starting it. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Normally you put the pliers on the inside of the split ring. Because these are so small, I have to do it on the outside of the ring. There, got them off. Okay, I don't want to chew up too much time. Let me go take these split rings off. I'll get back with you. Now look at that. That is the treble that got bent out. Look at the one on this side, this one here, that's normal. This one and this one are half opened out because a 5-pound Trevally yanked it that hard. That's a stock. Okay, this is a stock treble. This is one of the reasons we don't want to use stock trebles. Okay, now I took off the split rings. Now the smaller one here, see on the inside, that's what I just took off. The bigger one is almost twice the size. That's what I'm gonna put on. I prefer to put the bigger ones on because they're easier to work with and it's gonna hold a lot better than the smaller ones. The smaller ones have a tendency to pull apart easier. So you get your split ring pliers, you go almost up to the end, open it up like that. Now, this is the flatter one, this is the skinnier tip. I do work with the tube because it gives me more flexibility. Now I'm gonna try to get the eye of the treble starting to work through this. One of the problems of working with larger split rings is that it is a little bit stiffer and it's going to be harder to start things up like I'm experiencing now. So let me try this one here. So it was good to carry more than one split ring pliers just in case one gives you more problems. Okay. Almost had it, almost had it. You know, if I was a professional jeweler, I could do this so fast because I'll be used to it. I'm not. I really don't like working with this type of tedious work. And I really hate trebles because I got hit so many times with trebles and ain't funny. I'm sure quite a few people have, but they won't admit it. I'll admit it. I've been hit by them many, many times. Not fun. Okay, see how I started that? We got it going. So now that it's starting to go, you don't want to put it all the way through and then put it all the way through on this ring. That's double work. So now that we got that open just a little, let's see if we can just use that to our advantage here. So we put it back on a split ring plier, and we're just gonna put it through here while this is just on like maybe 1/8 of an inch. Okay, let's try this. Almost had it. Almost had it. Maybe I can use the needle nose. Let me try that. It's hard to do this when I'm trying to capture it on film. It's easier for me to kind of work kind of like so. There. See what I did? Is I was the ring of the lure is almost matched up with the ring of the treble. So just gonna turn this through. There. That is what that looks like. Okay. Now this is a surface lure. I don't like the subsurface because I like to hit shallow waters. More the subsurface ones. People like the heavy hooks on the front because that'll force the head down so you can go just on the surface. I prefer more of the splashy ones, so it's gonna splash, splash, splash surface. That's why the tail does this. This is what you want, okay? So let's try this again. Got the second ring. I think it was it was a skinny one I did the last one with. Above all, safety, okay? Started working with this type of material, you gotta be very cautious because, boy, I tell you, you get a hook in your finger, in your hand, not fun. I've been stuck several times, and I mean, I'm a careful person, but things happen, right? Things do happen. Let's see. Especially when you work with sharp objects. It'd be safer if I just use the pliers on the hook, like so. Let's see now. Oh boy, that one didn't work. Okay. Try it again. Just, you have to, I mean, there's no such thing as finessing this. You have to do what you can to make this work. Now, the guarantee way of making this work is using, there, got it. Let's see. Let's see if we can, there. See that? We got the eye of the hook just started in there. So now, following that, we want to put this onto that. Why would you want to do all this and then start all over again to put it on this? That's twice the amount of work. We don't want to do that. So, let's see now. what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this on. Oops. I think it'd be better if I use my needle nose now. There we go. I'm gonna slide this on. Like there. Now it's sliding on. See, look at that. Turn. There. See, so the radius of this hook from the gap, which is from the barb tip to the shank of the hook, is now just on the inside radius of these barbs. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I want to get match up. So this right now is all set up where hopefully this won't happen, where everything's all bent out. All right, that's how you do it. This is nothing being pretty about this. You just have to do it in a way that will work. And above all, more than anything else, you do not want to get poked by these darn things. I tell you, it's not fun. Thank you. Now, before I'm going out with the bigger one here, before I start using this, I'm going to perfect what I'm doing by using the smaller one first, okay? Now, how I'm going to rig this up? Okay, if the main line is coming from here, my main line comes down to the hammer bomb. The hammer bomb, this is extremely strong. You're talking 300-pound test wire through it. You're talking about 220-pound test barrel swivels on each end. This is actually very overkill. This particular hammer bomb, some are flashing for night, some are glow in the dark, some will just sink immediately. This one here, like I said, this is called Unleaded at 1.75 ounces. So this one, when it hits, it's going to sink very, very, very slow. So that means you're going to hit the shallows. This here will float. So what I'm going to do is from the main line that comes to here, I'm going to, from here, I'm going to have roughly about 4 to 5 feet of fluorocarbon. The fluorocarbon is going to go directly to here. That's all I'm going to do. So I'm going to have hammer bomb to my lure. That's the setup I'm going to make. I'm not going to show how to make it because we all know how to do items like that, okay? Everybody has their own preference. You may want to use mono, okay? So this is what it's going to look like. And what this does, it goes through the water like this, and it's going to create a wake. It's going to kind of look like fish escaping from the predator going after it. So it'll excite other predators that come in after this. Now, if you look carefully on this side, notice that right there, that half U shape matches up with the half U shape on this side too, right? Something came up, which was the Trevally came up, grabbed it, and ran. But for some reason, the trailer hook did not engage. It didn't catch. So when I brought it right up to me and I saw how big the fish was and what it was, that's when it let go. So there's good teeth imprints in a semi-U shape on both sides of that lure. Okay, so I know these things work, but I didn't listen to my own rules, and I didn't replace the stock hooks. You have to replace the stock hooks, okay? I would say some of the better lures that are out there, the more expensive ones, when you hit $80 or more, I assume that they're going to put on really, really good treble hooks for you. But they do know that the expensive ones do have good stock rings, okay? But you have to look at it. Like me, just change them out. I mean, it doesn't hurt to change it out. These things are not that expensive. What does hurt, though, is when you get a nice hookup like what I had, and you lose the fish, and the people around you looking like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. But, hey, it's fishing. It happens, right? So that's what I want to show you. I'm going to show pictures in the beginning of this, showing pictures of the gears and the accessories that I use. So be careful out there, guys. And hopefully when I catch my first fish with this, I'll post that also. Thanks. Hey guys, you know what? Because I had all this stuff out, I went ahead and did this one. I just didn't want to bore you with the same process, but because the items here were larger and easier to do, it took me less than half the time to do the smaller one, because the smaller one is more tedious work. So this one's all done. Now with the 130 size, I use the Hyperwire number 8. Hyperwire number 8 for the split ring. This is for 120 pounds. Yeah, 120 pound pull string. That's pretty good. Okay. With that one, I went with the bigger size hook. This is the 1/0, which means 1/0. Okay. And what I did is I took the time to pinch in all the barbs, because these hooks can do a lot of damage, especially this one. When the fish hits here, normally it'll hit here. This one will swing around, can jab it in the eyes, get stuck in the gills. This is the one that does a lot of damage. This one too, especially if he swallows it. But a lot of times if you swallow it and it rips up the gills, it's pretty much dead because it's bleeding out. Be harder to rip out the gills if it comes out clean. So that's why I noticed that when you go barbless, the fish stands a better chance of being released. Okay, so this one is ready to go. Now, what I did with this one here is well, I'm going to now see the barbs. See how the barbs are? Just get pliers. Just pinch, 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 pinch. I pinch it from different angles like I'm doing right now. Look at that. Smooth as a baby's butt. See, look, not getting poked whatsoever. So that was one. Pinch. See, you notice I'm moving around. I'm just going up, down, up, down, up, down, just moving around. Okay, just a little bit more. That one's done. Okay. That one's done. That's all you have to do. So right here is my graveyard of treble hooks and split rings. I took off the old ones. So usually what I do is when I throw these away, I wait till I get like a tuna can or some other can. I'll throw that in there and then I'll stuff some paper on top of it and then I throw it out. That's a safe thing to do, okay? So I'm all ready to go. Thanks for watching. Aloha.